yo.
It's our time. Go Spurs, go. We still reporting strong. Go Spurs, go. We've been here all along. We the best. Nobody's stopping us. Silver and black. You know we built for this. Yeah. Now the whole room chants like one big crew. From the first whistle to the final through. If they want that smoke, we bring that proof. Silver and black, that's the truth. We still reporting strong. We've been here all along. We the best. Nobody's stopping.
Yo, what it do, man? What's going on? Look, I know it seems like it's different, but it really isn't. I just needed to have some nice little guests today on the show, and familiar guests at that with us, part of the crew, the family. Look, everybody, this is the official Talking Spurs show presented by Buzzer. Yes. So, look, of course, y'all know who I am. K.Views on X. KDOTVIEWZ. What it do, everybody? Welcome to the show. Look, we got some special media creators on the outside that we need to get some analytical views on just to make sure they dial it back in for me. So, look, to my right on screen, it might be the opposite way, but just to my right on screen, people, I got NapGod7 on X. That's Naps the P. Look, y'all have already been familiar. Y'all seen him talk since the Trae Young saga of San Antonio. I mean, it's been pretty hectic, but nevertheless, we got Monkey DeBrasi, MONKEYDBRASI on X. Listen, this is the official Buzzer Talking Spurs, and again, you don't even hear no music. Look, what you can expect. Obviously, you're going to have a whole levy of guests roll through that are talking Spurs, whether they're fans or somebody that represents in the media. Yes, you're going to see all that, ladies and gentlemen. But also, this is where we're going to bring everything that we posting on X, everywhere else. This is where you can find us with the visual, people. So, without further ado, we got the second round in the NBA draft today. Look, we talking Spurs. Spurs, again, they did themselves a heavy favor yesterday. Let me tell y'all why I'm mad real quickly. And I'm not even mad at a pick. Let me tell you why I'm mad. So yesterday, I got the selection, probably about 4 minutes, 3 minutes and like 45 seconds, give or take 10 seconds. That I got it, right? And I was like, damn, I don't want to get up to type this shit. Oh, well, that's all right. Yo, I should have just got mind you, we're going PG. I should have just got myself up and said, damn it, just tweet the selection or selections posting. I didn't do it. And I'm so upset at myself for not doing it. I think we were on the show and I was like, it's all right. I'll do it.
We were.
All right. It's all good. I forgot what we were talking about. I think OG was here at the time, but look, we're going to talk, the latest draft. They just picked up 2 more in a second, which we're going to talk about. The reason I brought the fellas along is again, as we had a roundtable earlier in regards to how we see the San Antonio Spurs faring out next season, just giving an early season preview based off of, and they got unfinished business. My co-host here for this evening show said themselves, look, this is like the Miami Spurs Chapter 2 saga. I think they're trying to get revenge. The difference is it might not be on the Knicks. They might have to go against the Heat again in their trilogy. But we'll talk about that later. But at least we have our delegate here who have also said they see the Spurs running it back to the NBA Finals. I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna run through the draft real quickly before we talk about contracts. We already know what their problem was. They, the second you took Wemby out the game, before y'all go and anybody cooks on this, because I already know y'all got some things to say about Mr. Cornette. But look, Wemby look, we knew he didn't want to play defense. We know it. We get it. Not as much physical defense. We get it. He wanted to make sure he was gliding, making sure he was in his spots, but he didn't want to get too aggressive. We understand. And then when you try to say, yo, wow, we need the physicality, go on, bring in Luke Cornette. Father, forgive me for saying this, but I thought we were watching a 1965, 1966 player who somehow traveled into time and was battling in the NBA Finals. And I said, whoa, does he know that there's a three-point line outside here? Because I don't think so. I'm just saying. But look, this is who they drafted. And I guess this is how we'll start with y'all to really get into the Spurs. Look, they took a chance on Jaden Quaintance. Look, I call it a chance, whatever, right? I call it a low risk, high reward. He's going to be out. Look, he even says, a lot of people said he might be out 4 to 6 weeks. He said, look, I might not even be ready for training. He's thinking 4 to 6 months at that. But if and when he's healthy and able to give it a go, and mind y'all, DeJuan Blair played with no ACLs. Both of his ACLs was gone. They was gone. Deleted.
I remember
removed.
DeJuan Blair too. This is funny.
Yeah, they was tapped out. But that dude had springs on him some way for an undersized, you want to call him, stretch 4, because he was out there running the 5-2. Like, this dude was out here getting boards. But look, Jaden Quaintance out of Kentucky. I think this guy is going to be, if healthy, in a system like the Spurs, I think he's going to be a problem. And I'm not even just talking about, oh, he's going to run the league. Nah, I'm just talking about that interior defense. Like, if they're both on the floor, like, how do you guard? That's like looking at Giannis, any undersized defender trying to go at Giannis and Bam in the paint. Like, how do you go against a man like, bad enough you got to go against Wemby, but now you got to get somebody like Jaden Quaintance, and we're not even talking about the next guy. But let's introduce one of y'all fellas again. My apologies for taking this soliloquy the way it did. But let's talk about it. Jaden Quaintance. I mean, what do y'all think? Whoever's going to start off first, whoever wants to grab the mic, feel free, baby. Again, this is Talking Spurs. I'm Famous Davis. That's Nap God 7 on X, Monkey DeBrazzi on X, a.k.a. Monk. And this is presented by Buzzer. Let's go.
Well, first of all, I know people were talking about his knee. Obviously, he's gonna get another knee procedure done. That's fine. But the thing that people aren't really looking at is that, first of all, he's 18 years old.
Right.
He went to a team that absolutely knows when it comes to the bottom lower injuries.
Right.
And that they will help him. They will help him. They'll, even if it takes 1, maybe 2, even 3 years, it doesn't matter, because they'll know when he's ready, they'll let him loose. He went to a team that knows not only how to develop these types of guys, because it's not the first rodeo that the Spurs took a chance on somebody that had, a serious knee injury, or just, a serious injury overall, or even an illness.
Facts.
They know what they're doing. So I know people were like, oh man, they took the risk, all that. But sometimes, the risk is sometimes worth it. This kid was a first round talent. He fell
Absolutely
to 20. If he was healthy, he was definitely going to be a top 15 pick, or even probably
easily,
because of his athleticism. He knows, and the one thing I know people were kind of worried about was like, oh, he doesn't like to land on that leg. But the thing is, he even said himself, once he gets this procedure done, he even said that he even, went to the right team, that they're going to slow him in. They're not going to just throw him to the wolves. They're not going to tell him, hey man, we know that your knee's messed up, but we need you to play. They're not going to do that. He's gonna take the time. He's gonna, they have a really good, vet that's right there that's gonna help him. Whether it doesn't matter if it's in the Spurs, obviously Tim Duncan's still around. You still have Greg Popovich who knows bigs. So there's some of that, and then it's just a learning curve, and that's just how I see it with the Spurs is that they took. Is it a risk? Yes, but I think it's going to be a very rewarding risk. I don't think it's going to be a risk. I just think it's going to be rewarding.
And you
18 years
said
old.
something. Yeah, that's about to say. You said something right there. 18 years old. I mean, with me, if I had that injury, look, y'all, I think I'm taking a year off of work. Damn all that. I don't even think I want to stream. Look, man, let me just lay on my bed. Let me just put my leg up. Look, I'm out. A year, 2 years. I'm not going to be the same. I used to jog. I'm not even going to walk or jog. I'll just limp my way now. That's it. But with somebody like him, 18 years old, he's still agile, still durable, still young. That he's okay. We're not doing that. He's still growing. So like he's still maturing. So like, oh yeah, like I think he's in the greatest of systems in regards to again to help him rehab, to help him recover, to regain his confidence, to get him back into shape. This is exactly the perfect place to be at. Monk, what you thinking? I mean, you heard yourself. You saw Jaden Quaidance. I think we almost had a few conversations on the show and we deterred. But nevertheless, what's your thoughts on this pick as far as like you think for you, is it a high risk, high reward? Or are you talking about low risk, high reward? I mean, talk to us, pimp.
From picking from 20 to get a guy that was supposed to be an all analyst, people that be talking around the league.
Right.
He was supposed to be the first big man off of people's boards.
Right.
The couple games he got in Kentucky, he showed flashes of excellence. We are talking about a kid that can't even. What's the drinking limit?
21.
21. Hey, yo, the cigarette limit now is 21 too. Like you got to be 21 to buy cigarettes.
He can only drink chocolate milk, guys.
Yo, that is true. That's crazy. That's a crazy ass statement, but that's true.
We are talking about a kid that has potential to be an all defensive first team type of guy. That knee is the only thing that concerns me. It wasn't just a regular knee injury. It was a torn ACL and a fractured kneecap.
You're right.
He's not going to play. In my opinion, he's not going to play until year 2.
I thought that too.
Especially after having that second surgery to clean up, because he still feels discomfort in that knee.
Yeah, that's true. He did say that he still feels, and so they're with the procedure they're doing is I guess they're scraping out, and that I mean, shit.
Because they had to do it because of the scabbing from the previous one. Because he even said, there's hopefully this is the last procedure that he needs to do and it doesn't like turn. But for right now, I think he couldn't have landed with a better medical staff than the Spurs, who know what they're getting into. And again, he could have been the first big off the board if he was fully healthy. So like this is a steal regardless of what people think about his knee. Again, he's 18 years old. He doesn't even what's crazy is that he has an NBA body, but he doesn't have the NBA body that the Spurs want yet. So you won't really see him play. Maybe let's say I think maybe when he's 20, we'll see him play. If he plays next year, great. But I think, knowing how the Spurs are, they're probably going to look to see in the off season, well, next off season, they're going to look to see, all right, how far along is this kid?
Yeah.
Can we move Cornette to get more play time for this kid? You know, do they also go and they get another mentor for him? That, you know, because really when I look at this kid, like, he looks kind of like Mitchell Robinson, to be honest. Like he like,
does.
When I'm looking at him, it kind of is like similar to like a DeAndre Jordan, Mitchell Robinson, like, and those guys were underrated. Now, could he be better? Obviously, you know, he's still young, so he's still figuring out. But right now, like, the Spurs needed a guy that would basically do all the dirty work, run and dunk, all that stuff that, you know, Wemby just doesn't want to do. And no part to Wemby. That's just what he is. He wants to be more of a four and glide around and all that stuff. So now,
in the words of Rich Paul, a stretch four.
Yes.
Shout out Rich Paul.
Four, yeah.
Shout out Clutch. All right, go ahead.
Yes, he wants to be a stretch four. We saw in the finals that this man, it was basically like saying, like, what's that Kevin Hart thing? It's like, help me.
Help me. Yeah. I got you on that.
I think that, you know, it was an underrated pickup. I think it was a steal. We'll see if, you know, but even, okay, let's say, for example, even if he doesn't turn into a star, that's still a good role player to have, because that's, at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're still building around Wemby, you know, and you don't know what could happen in the future. Maybe he's Wemby's running mate, or maybe he's a guy that gets to another player that lands, you know, the guy that the Spurs want in the future. So it's like, that's how I'm looking at it. And I think when people look at these guys, right, they're young and everything, I don't think people realize, like, he can be a future trade chip, or he can be the future, or, you know, like, maybe he's a fit that just go. Now, could he not fit? Anything is possible with this pick, but to say, oh man, no, that's a terrible pick. Nothing is really a terrible pick, because really, the Spurs used pick 20, but if you know the history of the Spurs, like, when it comes to these later picks, they hit most of the time. So it's like, and even when they don't hit, if they move the players, they're just going to be still good, because either they go to become better players, Goran Dragic, for example. So, you know, stuff like that.
And I don't mean to chime in here, but I'm hoping, again, and I'm not saying now, God willing, I understand, again, it's going to be rough. Like, are they even going to consider this as rookie year? Remember how it was before? You know, who was it? Ben Simmons, I believe, too, where, you know, they didn't consider him his second year, you know, won the rookie of the year. It could be with him in his case, too. Look, he might, like y'all said, Monk said, he might sit out this entire season, and that could very well be the case. The Spurs can afford to sit him out for the year. Just let him get healthy. But my hope for him, if I can compare him to anybody that has recently came into the league, and I know he's a different build than Khalil Ware, but I hope to see him as the Spurs Khalil Ware when he was at his best with the Heat. You know what I mean? Like, I can see this man, even if it's not dominating like Wemby, but I can still see this man getting 15, again, just based off the play, if healthy, easily getting 15 and 10, 15 and 12. Easy work. And so if I can hope for anybody that, again, recently came out of the draft, I would hope that this man would put up numbers in a better situation, like how Khalil Ware.
Well, I'll tell you right now, he's gonna give Cornette a run for his money, like, because, like, as soon as he's healthy, like, you know, I like, the one thing that you don't want with this is, like, you don't want any rush back. That's the only thing.
That's
like,
right.
So, you know, for people that are like saying, like, oh man, he's not gonna play, why did we take him? We're contending for a championship. People don't realize that this is a cost-saving move too, because down the line, You're saving money. So now if this kid turns out to be legit and ready,
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
you can just move off other pieces and in and out. That's basically what people are doing.
Hey, I always look at Monk because I know he's looking at his computer screen and looking at us that way because that's the easiest way he can do it. But I always feel like, what the fuck? What the heck is this man watching? You know what I mean? But I know he's looking at us. But I always feel like, what the heck is he watching over there? But anyway,
I'm computer.
Yo,
draft.
You got to. Yeah, and I do the same thing because I'm like right here, but I'm like, so like, I always got to remember, like, I'm looking at y'all here, but y'all are not seeing me on the camera looking like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the screen. Anyway, don't worry about that, y'all.
Before we go off,
go ahead.
I think Luke Cornett might have played his last minutes.
Oh, I say the same thing. Oh,
and it's not because of Jaden. Because yes, Jaden is the future. He's gonna redshirt. It's gonna be like Ben Simmons, because the rules. If he doesn't play at all, year 2 is his rookie year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the same. I haven't heard or spoken or asked about that part, but I'm just based off of what he said in pre-draft interviews, that I was able to look over. Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be surprised either if he's just shut down for the season, just this season. They know they got something, and
it makes me. We talk about somebody I compare this to, just off of raw talent. Obviously, Jaden's offensive game is still not there,
right?
But defensively, Isaiah Stewart. That rugged, that I'm gonna get this ball, and you ain't gonna do nothing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, I didn't think about that one.
I was gonna compare the Isaiah Stewart, but the only difference is like he's a pogo stick. That's the only difference. When I was like, and it's funny because right now he does remind me of DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, honestly. The crazy part, though. Go ahead, continue.
I said, this reminds me of how people felt last year with Miami when they picked Caspers.
Yeah,
they had concerns. Leagues had concerns, and they made him fall into an organization that is known for getting talent.
That's why I call them the San Antonio Heat and the Miami Spurs, man. They're like one in the same. I know the level of superstars they acquired different, obviously, but one in the same. Always, again, like I said before, always going into those rumors and being let down. Finally, something happens. I know to some. Obviously, no matter what, that De'Aaron Fox trade is always going to trump. Just always trump out anything, like, because what they had to send out only was crazy. What Rich Paul pulled off, was it? And then they traded off a box of crackers and got themselves Chips Ahoy, or they got themselves it was crazy. Like, I'm not even talking about De'Aaron Fox. Like, you got a pick for taking Harrison Barnes too. Like that. Look, okay, here's another one. They're gonna have to renounce him, but I need to get into this other draft pick, and we'll talk about Harrison Barnes. But I do feel. See, he's a real look, man. He's a real consummate professional. He really is. If you're talking about going to play 10 minutes a game and then the next minute he's not playing a single, look, is he going to be feeling some type of way? Personally, of course, quietly, but he's going to remain professional. That's what he does. Hey, my name's called. I understand the business. Do I feel, in my opinion, that he's played his last game as a Spur? No. But I do feel that if he went anywhere else and he has to be on a reserve role, that he's going to Golden State on a reserve role.
Yeah.
So he can finish out where he started. Especially that if he's in, so without delving in so much, right now because they got the other draft. We got another draft pick to talk about. They made yesterday after trading with Denver. So.
And it was one of the reasons why I said Luke Cornett probably played his last game. Jaden's the future, but this next draft pick is the present.
So, Harrison, I feel I can say it right now. The Spurs will, and this is not no professional lingo that you give anybody. They would love to have him back, but it's definitely going to be at a reduced price. Definitely. And I don't mean, I mean, yo, we're going to have to slash this in half. Like
vet minimum. Yeah.
Maybe, and the only thing, and it's not even about the money for Barnes. It's more so, look, am I going to have a role or am I going to expect to be the veteran that'll just be called upon for an injury or 5 minutes every so if he knows that he has a more defined role in Golden State, even off the bench, he's gonna finish. He's gonna finish on. But I feel that he has not. Kelly O, Mason Plumlee, different stories. Look, Lindy Waters. People can say anything they want about Lindy Waters. Unless he's getting a better deal somewhere else, a raise somewhere else. I think I shouldn't even be saying it in this manner, but I feel the Spurs would give him the lob just because, hey man, clutch, it can we got you. But let's get to the person again. Welcome again to Talking Spurs. I'm your boy Famous Davis. That is Nab God. That is Monk. Look, man, they host the multiverse mashup. Talking about anime, talking about video games. Showcases, they are there. Tap in. Coming soon. Talking Heat. We'll get into that a little later. Talking Heat. We got a few chapters rolling around. We got Talking Hawks too. So we got a whole thing in the future in the horizon. But look, this is Talking Spurs again, officially presented by Buzzer. I was excited to drop this one. I said, Talking Spurs, it needs to go down. This is where. And now I can, okay. And let's get to some comments real quickly. I don't know if they're even watching still. My apologies if y'all are not. Again, we certainly do apologize. But look, JT the Fox 101. I mean, Jay the Fox 101. I love the Conwell pick for the Heat. We're going to get into that later. Remember, Talking Heat, man. Coming soon. But we're talking about that today, not later as in coming soon. Next week or whatever. But look, 210. Give me Rui, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, anyway. I don't know if you're still here, Daniel, man. Shout out to you because you always supporting Sports Jedi Network, man. So shout out to you, man. Hope you're doing well. And Mr. Go Spurs, go. To that, Jaden Payton can guard 1 through 5.
Absolutely.
Best power forward in the draft. And look, congrats, Snap and Giannis. Hey, Monk, congrats to you too, man. Look at that. So as we roll through, man, look. Here we go.
Can we
this.
talk about one guy that I do want to talk about that I feel is still underrated? Julian Champagnie.
Ooh. Okay, you know what? We can hold off on this pick. I'll talk about that. Let's talk Champagnie. You know what? Let's bring up that subject. Go on, cook on that. Cook on that, Nap. What? Go on.
Like, I feel like.
And by the way, what up, Jizzle? We'll talk about that. What's up? What up, Jizzle?
Here's the thing, right? You'll never find. It's very hard for you to find a perfect role player like Julian Champagnie. When you add in the ability to defend, when you add in the ability to knock down shots, I know people were kind of like, oh man, he got cold in the finals. Listen, when you're running around having to do things that it's out of the ordinary for you, you're gonna struggle too. And that was what's going on with them, because he had to chase around multiple guys, and that's what ultimately, it was just exhausted. He wasn't used to doing that. And he's more of a one-on-one type of guy. So
yeah. Ooh, Champagne. I'm glad you brought that up.
I think if I'm Champagne, I know, yes, the money is better. Probably could be better outside, but take a little bit less. Stay where you are. First of all, where you wanted, and also where you can continue to grow.
Let's
That's
just put
where
this up. Go ahead.
that's where I think he needs to. Yeah, does Julian deserve 15? Yes, he does.
So let's get into this. So again, people are like, "What are sources? What is this?" I hate using that word. So look,
Me too.
Julian Champagne's camp. Look, based on, and it's not only this past season, but it's just been his gradual evolution, I guess you want to say, his improvement, his drastic improvement. Like, you've been able to see it. Now he truly identifies as a true 3-and-D guy that, hey, he can now hit that shot that you need. Look, he was obviously, if there is somebody that is severely underpaid in this organization, and I'm talking about from the highest executive in Spurs front office to, I'm talking about the people that are selling popcorn and Pizza Hut at the Frost Bank Center. I mean, Whataburger. I'm talking about from all that. If anybody is underpaid, this man is severely underpaid. And so it's obvious by the June 29th expiration, they were going to, it would be a disrespectful, it would be a disrespect. I'm not even gonna say disrespectful. It would just be an act of disrespect. I'll say it that way towards Julian if they said, "Hey, we'll hold off until next season." When there's gonna be somebody that's gonna bite on him, that's gonna sit there and pay him more than what the Spurs want. So if you're gonna do something, you gotta, what they're expected to do, which is they're gonna resign him. They're going to, they're going to decline this option and then extend him. His camp wants $60 million over 4 years. When you divide $60 million over 4 years, that's $15 million a year. However you got to put it, from the downside or upside, whatever the case. If it's a declining or a descending contract, as people like to say, $15 million a year over 4 years, that's $50 million. Is he worth that? And should they invest that? That is the question. I feel, in my opinion, if you know that this is the guy, obviously you want to leave a team option, but maybe you want to put the team option after 2 years. On the third year, maybe you want to do the team option. And then maybe the fourth year, make it partially guaranteed, something of that nature. He'll only be, I believe, 27, 28 by the time that next contract expires. If not, the most reasonable deal that I think the Spurs, there's a median, because, sometimes that's how they start, right? 60 million, and they got to work their way to the middle. So I feel if there's a median and they do give him this money, it's 15, maybe over 3 years, so 45 million. Obviously would still be a tremendous raise, but maybe 2 years, guaranteed. That third year is a team option, so that way they don't lock him up for 4 years. Again, that's what his camp wants, and I think they're obviously going to get a raise, but they want security. You know what I mean? So let's talk about it.
Here's what I'll like. If I'm the Spurs, let's try first a 3-year contract. That doesn't work. Let's see if we can maybe knock it down $2 million. But if that also still doesn't work, what I'm looking at is, I'm like, first of all, I'm looking at the free agent pool and I'm going like, is there anyone that can replace him? Is there anyone that can replace him in this draft? If I don't see that, I'm offering it, because if you don't offer it, other teams will. He's going to be one of the most sought after free agents. I just want people to realize that. A guy that's athletic, can shoot threes, defend multiple positions. Not only that, he's clutch. I know people, we're
hold on, before you say anything else, before y'all say, oh, he's not clutch, Nap. He's not. He means he's clutch, like he's CLUTCH.
Yeah.
He means he's clutch. So please, he understands that. But go ahead, Nap.
Yeah, Like, he's not just like some like normal role player. Like he's an elite role player. This is the kind of guy that you would want on your championship squad because he's gonna hit those shots. And
Right.
not only
Right.
that, he defends. It's not like it's very hard to find somebody that can do that. And also, he can start, he can be benched, he can play the two, the three. He sometimes played the four. You know, he guards 1 through 4. So it's like this is a guy that you have to keep on your roster. If
You
if
got
you're
to.
if you first of all, the shooting, San Antonio needs all the shooting they can get. They can't. I honestly do not see anyone like as a shooter that's better than him right now. Like that's just in this market, there's nobody that's better than him.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's what I looked at too. And the thing is that exactly how you thought, P, is exactly the thought process. Is like, okay, obviously you're not going to find it in the draft, but okay, let's scour the landscape of, at least right now, potential free agents, because that's the next moratorium and things of that nature, the next phase of the offseason or whatever the case may be. But is there anybody else? And again, at that value, is it crazy that you're going to give this man a $12 million raise? Absolutely. But he had to play his ass off to earn that. And look,
He did earn it. And something else is that it's very hard to find guys that can play both sides of the ball. Not only that, he's a sniper. Like it's different
sniper.
if he was just a straight shooter. Because obviously you can go on free agency. Hell, you guys can go
Yeah.
and get Norman Powell and all that stuff if you want. If you're gonna give this guy like a bunch of money like that, like then just raise it up a little bit more and go get Norman Powell, a guy that just wants to shoot. But again,
Hell
you
no.
want you want both sides of the ball. You want both sides of the ball. And the thing is, though, that you don't have to worry about him being hunted. A lot of these other guys, they are hunted. Like they're being hunted. You can't hunt Julian because Julian not only can hunt you, but he can
Yeah.
also lock you down.
Ooh.
So it's like it's very hard to find role players like that. And I don't
Well,
think people realize how like valuable this guy really is. So
well,
Julian, if you get your money, congrats to you, bro. But like I'm telling you right now, it's always best to stay where not only you are the perfect fit, but also, I mean, come on, no state tax. Come on,
I
bro.
think, for real, and I think this, they're if they, which they're not going to do, but if they were ever, because arrogant to like wait until next season, this dude's going to get himself 20 million somewhere, and Spurs are going to definitely overpay. Here's my thing. So if his and again, before you roll through and talk, I just want to put the other side of the context from my side here too. I'm without messing up anybody's bag. I'm gonna speak from my opinion. That's the best way I can put it, okay? So, you want to start at the 60 million. Again, guys, I'm only giving my opinion. Okay? I have or maybe I shouldn't say this. Cuz look, a million is look, 10 million is a million. If you lose out on a million of a deal that you could have got, that's crazy, let alone 10 million. So, I think I got to say it this way. I think in my opinion, they went for 60 over 4 years because their goal is actually 50. If they can get 50, they're good with it. And that's 12 and a half per year over 4 years. I think they want 50, and I think they want 4 years. I'll just say it like that. I'm going to just say it like that.
I
And I
think
will tell
you
you
can
this.
do.
Let me tell you one thing. And I'm going to make a confession on this Talking Spurs podcast presented by Buzzer. When I told you I had to make a choice if I'm going to be networking with people or if I'm going to just stay behind the table. So I got to talk to Julian. Made my decision. And even behind the scenes, they tried to stop that. And he's like, no. So if you want to know who on that team was my deciding factor, to be like, I can't do this. I gotta start networking with my people and Julian Champagne. Yeah, I'm telling y'all. Where I say, you know what? I'm gonna keep dropping shit like this. So yeah, if you want to know which or what led me to make this move, it was to start networking with Julian, and then it evolved from there. Shout out City Sissoko too, by the way. I'm not gonna shout out current Spurs players. That anyway. Let's continue, man. So, 50 million. Look, Spurs saved themselves 10 million. I think maybe that's where you're gonna probably see it land. If indeed that fourth year is a priority, then 4 years over 50 million, and that fourth year is a team option. I think that's the median.
But
I think
for
10 million
me,
per year. Go ahead.
sorry, Kaja, but for me, I feel like if he doesn't want okay, so let's say he doesn't agree to the team option, I'm still giving him the player option because at the end of the day, it's a steal. It's a steal. Other guys, like, I don't think people realize, like, other guys that do, like, that are shooting are gonna be either making money that they shouldn't be making, or their teams are gonna be desperate and they're gonna overpay, or they're gonna basically fall flat. So it's like you can't find a replacement for him. And honestly, like, if I'm the Spurs, I'm trying to do whatever I can to keep him. Like, even let's say like 50 million. He's like, all right, 50 million. But then they counter. They're like, all right, how about 55? I'm still doing it. I'm like, all right, 55, done. Like, if it has to get to 60 million, then it has to get to 60 million. Because at the end of the day, he worked nonstop for this contract. And on top of that, he basically did everything they asked. Come off the bench, done. Sacrifice your minutes, done. Oh, you don't get the ball that much anymore? All right. Like,
done. Yeah.
That's so, it's very rare you get a guy that's also hungry, but also is consistently, like, but I get it that, agents have to do what they have to do, and their job is to get their guys paid. So
right.
I totally get it. But at the end of the day, like, you're not gonna find a replacement for him. It's not gonna be easy either. So why try to find a replacement for him? He's still young, still fits that core. Just pull the trigger on it. If he wants, if you can drop him down to 5 mil, 10 mil, fine. If you can't, give him the 60. It's not gonna hurt you because he's still getting better. This guy is like basically he is the new version of Danny Green. So it's like, keep him.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think he's got a better shot than Danny Green did at this time, because it took him a little bit to gather a shot. Monk, let's drop the mic because you're looking at the screen. Look up, monkey. Look up. Nah, honestly, look, you're the Spurs front office. It doesn't matter. It don't matter how you look at it. You're just the Spurs front office.
Yep.
You see this camp wants 60 mil. Are you gonna be like, hey, nah, no brainer, let's do it? Or are you gonna counter? I mean, from what you've seen off Champagne, I mean, are you the kind of exec that's like, well, let's hold up, let's maybe counter this, or Are you gonna give him any penny he deserves? Look, you be like Nat, be like, yo, 60 million, maybe if low as 55, done. We'll do it. Like, what are you saying on this, man?
I would, if he asked for 60, I would counter it 55, and I make it top loaded. So each year his salary goes down. It helps because now you got a great shooter. He's given his value, but you also got to consider Harper. Castle deal is looming.
Yeah.
I would give him the. I will ask for a team option, just so I can have more control. Because trade value, who can say somebody don't ask you for him and for a bigger package? Maybe not for a KD type, but you're gonna need that lump sum of money to be in the deal to make it match.
Yeah. Yo. So, okay. Let's just say the team option, right? Because that is key. Think about this. And again, we'll start talking about KD, Spurs fans. Anyway, look. So we got 1 point that's talking, look, we'll give you the player option. We'll give you control. We got the other that's going to team option. So, the player option is going to be crazy. That's like saying, okay, I feel I've done a good enough job, more than that, on this team. I think I've exceeded expectations that I deserve to have my own, destiny of where I decide to go my last year. That's tough. So team option one, the only reason. Okay, if you want the player option, then I think we make it 4 years. 4 years, 45 million. Because you have the option to opt out the third year, and you might want to get a bigger raise. If we're giving you 12.5 million now, who's to say you're not gonna opt out that last year and ask for 15 or 20 million? Or if not, you're leaving. And so, okay, the reason I say we'll give you 45 is, let's say you opt out and you're making a little over 10 million. Okay, then we can push it to 15 or 13 million or wherever you want to be at. We can push it that extra 5 million. But you gotta leave us some leverage to at least be able to do that. Because if we pay you this money now, and I'm not rebuttaling you now, I'm just saying, like, you gotta, like, front office wise, right? This is how you. So if we're gonna pay you this money, then to Monk's point, if we're gonna pay you this money, then allow us to dictate that final year. Yes, we're giving you this money, even if he said it. If it's loaded up front, we'll give you this money because you have earned this money. Yeah. You've earned this money. But allow us to determine that last year, because of that last year, we feel like, look, you are a great fit. We just don't feel like you're this certain amount of money great fit. Then, like how, Monk said, hey, he might be used for a trade chip, etc., to bring in some other role players. Because, again, he could hype up his value that it does bring in. It might not be a superstar, but they're going to bring in a great rotational player that probably does start because he's catapulted himself to that kind of
he
play.
Can get you a first easily. Like he's in high demand. The guys like him are in high demand. So it's like,
and his age, it's his age that's on his side. The experience that he's gotten now, and even starting NBA, this the age for me that, dude, like, this is not even his biggest contract. Yes, will this be a raise? Yes. This time though, when he gets this little raise, he needs to ball out, because if he balls out, I'm not going to say he's going to double that. Not with the Spurs, I'm saying, but he's not going to double that. But he might get at least, oh, shit, I'm getting 15 million per year or 12.5 million per year. Oh, shit, I am going to bounce up to 20 million per year. Like, he might get that Keldon Johnson kind of pay. Again, what I'm hoping, see, this 15 million, there's a reason for this. Because, again, yes, I only made 3 million, but Keldon's making 20. Yes, he won 6th man of the year. we can take 15. Now negotiate. You know what I mean? So that is going to be something. I'm not going to say really to monitor because it's going to get done regardless. But I do think because the camp is looking at 60 over 4, they could probably more than likely meet in the middle of at least 50 million over 4. That's my
Okay.
anyway. And I just say based off of my experience of why I decided to go this route is why I can confidently say 50 million over 4 years.
Give him the 50 million. Just do it top heavy like Monk said. And then, if he takes the player option, then that's fine. Now if he's open for the team option, maybe I'm try to drop not 45, let's say 48. I don't really see the 45. I can see the 48 because it's not that, but I think 45, that's where I think it's like, all right, it's kind of like disrespectful. Yeah. So I feel like 48, 50, hell, it doesn't even have to be 55. Maybe it's like 52. Like, something like that. Like, but then that's when you can, start. It's funny because for some reason, you would think it would be like, like 5 less. Like some players just take they just go, all right, well, I wanted 67 million. And then they're like, oh, well, okay, I'll settle for 54. It's random. So it's like maybe in that situation, that's where. But I feel like first of all, the Spurs have to just make sure that when they present this, they don't just,
Go on, talk about it. Go on.
Hey, man, we know this is a business. We all know this is a business. At the end of the day, that's his job, and he's trying to get paid. So what the Spurs cannot do is that they cannot be like, hey, Julian, we feel that not the 4, not the 3, maybe 2, and then let's see. Like, they can't do that because I feel like then, because what I feel that Julian and his camp are trying to get is they want years, and that's smart because in the years that that he can actually go and then make more money off of that. So that's smart. I feel like with the Spurs, all right, do the 3-year, 45 million. You could do 3-year, 45 million. If it goes to 5 years, if make it 48. If it has to be 50, fine. But the one thing you don't want to happen is they offer they offer a package that he doesn't feel is right, and his agent goes like, hey, so he's available. Raise up the price. And then all of a sudden you have a team like Brooklyn with cap space. Let's say for example, and they just, I mean, we saw it. They threw the biggest bag I've seen at Tyler Johnson years ago. Like that was
I remember crazy. That. I remember that.
Like, and it's crazy because like obviously he's a better player than Tyler Johnson, but like Miami presented him with a deal that he didn't feel that was right. His agent went quickly and said, "Hey, this guy wants
take this."
Yeah. So then he was like, all right. Then he got offered the 54 million out of nowhere. We went from thinking this guy was going to get maybe 10 to 14 million, not per year, just 10 to 14 million. So all of a sudden, this ginormous $54 million
contract.
Yeah. And the same thing happened remember with Allen?
Yeah.
The same thing happened with him. No one expected that. We all thought like, oh, he was gonna be 25 million just right there. Not per year. All of a sudden, it's like I'm reading Allen is going to sign a $75 million contract. And I'm over here going like, what? Like that's what you don't want to do if you're the Spurs. You do not want that leak that this man, the deal is not working, because trust me, that 60 million will grow very quickly. And then that's when you get into a situation you do not want.
That's a real situationship you don't want. That's facts. Look, we didn't even get to the other draft pick, mind you, which we need to get back into real quickly because, again, we've been off track off Julian Champagny because, hey, he's going to get his money. But it's going to be a crazy race because he deserved it, man. But, I mean, I know the Spurs were hoping for like $10 million over. I'd be shocked if they get $10 million over 40 million over 4 years, 10 million. I'd be shocked. But 50. Anyway, they traded. So the Spurs traded with Denver to acquire the 26th overall pick. And guess what? No surprise. They selected another UConn dog. Terrace Reed. Terrace Reed Jr. Another dude that is, again, sizable. The versatility. That is the man that right now he's going to play. Like, he's going to play. I know you was talking about Monk Cornet minutes.
Cornet.
We're going to get into that now.
Get ready because you're going to shimmy all the way out.
Get ready to learn Shanghai.
Oh, he said get ready to learn the Shanghai Shark, yo. Oh my God. Yo, look. At the end of the day, look. We here. Oh shit. I done dropped my phone. Sorry about that. So look, we here. Let's talk about it. Luke Cornet replaceable minutes. His replacement, dog. Let's talk about Terrace Reed Jr., man. What y'all got for me before I go on and chime in?
I think Terrace Reed is. People don't understand that. Yes, he's a dog. He will go for rebounds. He's not gonna. He's Wemby, but offset. He's gonna look for contact. He's gonna go in there, crash boards, and he's gonna get it 95% of the time. His offensive game, he got a little finesse to him. He can the hooks, the back to the paint. He still got room to grow in that area.
Room to grow. Go ahead.
But it's not far. Pick and rolls, he will be able to do that. Just off rip, he's going to be able to do that. Spurs fans will not have to worry about looking at Luke Cornet jogging the floor no more.
Look, I don't want to take away. Go ahead.
No, it's just, he reminds me of Jonas Valanciunas, but more quicker. The way he's able to bang, and then he's, like you say, he has a finesse, but he's got a mean streak to him. That's the one thing that, like, this is a guy that really does go after every board, like the motor consistently. This was a great fit for the Spurs because, I'm telling you right now, Cornet, hey man,
count your days.
Yeah,
count your days.
Because everything you were supposed to do, this man does, but better. But yeah, Julian Valanciunas is my confirm. Obviously, the way now before people are like, oh well, now the reason why I said that is because the way he plays, and it reminds me of a young Jonas. Obviously, he's gonna get better. He's gonna, he's obviously more athletic and all that stuff. But people forget when Jonas was in his prime, he was good. Another name that kind of reminds me that's very underrated. Robert. No. That guy on the Pacers. Oh my God. Is it Hibbert? Roy Hibbert. Yes. Roy Hibbert.
Yeah.
Yes. I said Robert Hibbert. Roy Hibbert. Just his ability to, that man was always annoying, man. He would switch hands, and it would just be a layup. He would hit it off the board. He would get every rebound. That's what it reminds me. But obviously, he's got a mean streak to him. That's something I feel like at times Roy lacked. But yeah, the Spurs got a home run with that kid. I think not only that, he's gonna fit perfectly in there like a glove. You know, obviously his offense will come more. But this is an old school type of big. Personally, I like bigs like this because I'm not a big fan of the stretch five the whole time. Like because sometimes you need these types of bigs. You need a junkyard dog to go get it,
You do.
and
You do.
that's what he does. And the best part about it too is that, hey man, he can lay it up with both hands, and he has a pretty nice post game. And like Monk said, he has a little finesse to him. So
You know,
not that he comes with a little bit of
so
experience too. He's an experienced player.
yes, it makes guys like Cornette expendable. It definitely makes the Olenics and the Mason Plumleys who are not expected to return. Look.
Oh my God! By the way, Julian, if you sign back, that guy, you're gonna be open so many times because don't matter. You miss, he's gonna be right there to grab it, kick it back out. Yo, Wemby's gonna love that kid.
I cannot wait to see that because finally, and what the Spurs did was they got two players that when healthy can easily play alongside Wemby. Even let alone reserve row off the bench for him. That's gonna be exciting. But
They went out and got two needs. They needed, obviously they got that kid that's gonna be a power forward, and now they got a legit center. So they filled up two needs right there. Like that's what they needed. So now they're more meaner, more bruiser. That's what you need. And not only that, two guys that when one's fully healthy after all this, but they're fast. They're not slow.
Yeah,
they can run. Cornette can't run. Like,
oh, bro.
you know what's crazy? Cornette would be good if this was the old school Grizzly system. Remember the grit and grind? How they would literally the slowest paced team in the league.
Bro, it's bad when Zach Edey's faster than you. That's what's crazy.
My God, bro.
Just put them in a race.
Runs like an Attack on Titan.
Yo, that is okay. But let's talk about the real. Let's talk about the real. So, of course, we know Kawhi prefers Major League to stay in LA.
Yeah.
That's where he prefers to stay, in LA. He doesn't want to leave California. He does not. Massive pay cut? I don't know about all that. So now let's talk what we need to talk. Hold on, let me put it right here. Hold on real quick, y'all. I appreciate everybody. I should have had this prepared. I'll have it next time.
Boom, 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 boom.
Here we
Overall,
go.
the Spurs had a W draft.
I think they also drafted a Keldon replacement.
First of all,
Spurs trade free agent.
First of all, okay.
Can I start off with the free agent target? Because
by all means.
I'm not gonna take the one that you probably want to say, but
no, go ahead. No, cook on whoever you prefer. I promise.
Okay, even though you guys drafted, I still think Spurs they should go get Mitch Robinson. They should be like, hey Mitch, how much is it gonna take to bring you to San Antonio? Because that would be an insane pickup. I know people are gonna be like, but Nap, injuries. Yeah, here's the thing. The guy drives a big pickup truck. He listens to country music. He's country tough. Not only that, The Spurs are good when
He's
it comes to
country
this type of
tough.
play. Hey man, hey, listen. He was born to play in Texas. He
Okay.
was born to play in Texas.
All right. I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, my thing is. So let's say you bring him on, right?
Mm,
So then Jaden moves to the third string center. I mean,
yeah.
even ooh, I'm
Here's the
gonna.
thing. Here's the thing. I'll say this. If they move now, this is this. I'll say this. It's only if they move Cornette. If they're managed
Oh,
to
I
move
got you.
Cornette,
Okay.
then you can bring him in. But I feel like they should knock on the door. They should knock on the door because that's what I feel like is you know a good pickup for them. If they can just to even
Okay.
see what he wants. So yeah.
So, uh, okay. So if the Clips, the Spurs got free agent wise, the Spurs got John Collins, top of their list. Free agent speaking. Um, I'm, and he knows he might not get his money that he was accustomed to, but obviously a mid level is there. I think if Braun and their rumors there were not so smoked up for Miami, I think it would be a safe bet that he truly would be a Miami Heat target. But the Spurs they've flirted before, and again, free agent speaking, because they just know what he can do. He can definitely be a spark off the bench, but if he needs to start, they know that he can start. He has the ability to start. That take it how they want. They can. He can. And then so Spurs will do right by Keldon. That's again. Keldon is a traditional 3. Traditional. Um, I do feel Cornette would, like we said, will be the odd man out. From what? Okay. All right. Fuck it. Let's get into it. All right. Let's get into it.
Did you see Bobby tweet?
Bobby Heenan.
Bobby Marks. He said Spurs and Heat. I mean Spurs and Raptors are watching Kawhi.
So
Why would the Raptors when he didn't want to go there in the first place?
okay. So I
I think
knew
I think it's funny, bro. I think it's
I don't know how you said that because I was gonna address the smoke in the room.
ah
So the whole Collins thing would work easily. See, now it doesn't even feel the same. The effect doesn't even feel the same anymore because I wanted to give the period. Unless the
oh my
Spurs
bad.
are looking for a bit. Nah, you're good. And so, don't worry about it. We're good, man. It's just look, Sometimes the smoke happens like that, man. It just happens to hit like that. But okay. I need people to see something. And I'm not saying nothing about that part. If, again, mind you, I need somebody to pull this up. How much is Kawhi Leonard making? And I know,
I think it's 54 million.
Okay. Which leads me to the next point. The Kawhi Leonard thing is great. Great. Cool. But that is why I know they have not been made available publicly. Publicly. But that is exactly why they go after. That's why there's gonna listen, due diligence has been made. I'll say that. Due diligence has been made. But KD, I don't, and I know not a lot of people clip these shows, and we don't got a lot of people listening like that. We don't got a lot of people listening like that. Like, as far as like that are gonna hear this KD thing or whatever. But if you're acquiring Kawhi, right? That means okay. There's no way that you want to have. You're sending out Fox and that's a 3. It'd be crazy. But anyway, let's just say for things and giggles, right? For entertainment purposes, he would not. 50 million is gonna have to go down to what? 40 something. I'm gonna just say this.
He won't do that. That's too low. Unless
but I'm not saying I'm not saying Bobby Marks is wrong. But what I am saying is just think $10 to $11 million less almost. If it's $55 million he's making, then $10 to $11 million less. If it's $50 million he's making, $5 to $6 million less.
It's 50.
50 million. So then,
yeah, he wants
$5.5, $6 million less. You go pick up this other man that's on his last 2 years. I hate y'all, man.
Don't say y'all.
Bringing up Kawhi. I hate you for bringing up Kawhi, you son of a. So, Phoenix stalled any momentum. And listen, the offer the Spurs made was a very intriguing offer. They sent him the other way to spite. Because of the way it ended. People can talk about, he had a list and whatever. Like, how the normal, usual thing goes. But people have already confirmed it later on, even after it's already done, is that KD in his camp, including myself, his preferred destination was the San Antonio Spurs. So if indeed I mean, like, you're not going to see. Look, let's kill the Jaylen Brown. Let's kill all that now. We're not going to see. Look, they got unfinished business. They're going to just try. Go ahead.
No, sorry, but like the only thing that with the Jaylen Brown is just like he makes way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he a great player? Yes, but you know when you're dealing with Boston, it's not gonna be like people think it's gonna be, rainbows and all that stuff. They're a desperate team right now. They're gonna ask for, if they can't get Wemby, they're gonna get the second or third best thing plus. So like when people are saying like, oh, Brown, and I see all these like trades and all that stuff, like, I'm realistic, so I know what being around the for like a couple years now, we've seen what goes down. It's not like how people think where it's like, oh, we're just gonna throw this pick in there and do that. Like, no, it's gonna take a multi-team trade to get that done. But not only that, it's not only just about two teams tangoing, it's about 3, 4, 5. Like everybody has to be happy, otherwise it falls apart. So like, when I was seeing that, I was like, and then on top of that, when people were like, oh, well, if they trade, you know, well, I think I saw Devin Vassell and what was it, Keldon Johnson. Even they were saying like De'Aaron Fox. I was like, the Spurs aren't doing that because it's just too much. It's too much.
Absolutely.
If you're talking about something being more realistic, Kevin Durant, more realistic. When we're talking about like fit or we're talking about easy money that they can absorb, like that's the type of guy that I'm talking about, and that's why I feel like they're gonna be the team that's eventually. I think this is the summer that they get KD. I think this is the summer that they do. It just feels like they're ready to just get like that player. I like okay last year, yeah, they were messing around and all that. This is real now. They know that they're real. It was a test run. It passed. They know that they're real. They know that they need a guy like KD. And not only that, yes, he's also Wemby's idol. And as we've seen, players play better when they're with other players that they like. KD likes Wemby. Wemby likes KD. It feels like another D Wade with Jimmy type of moment where
a lot of
Jimmy,
people, and I mean,
yeah,
go ahead.
no,
My
you're
bad.
good.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. It's just like I just want to end that. It just feels like that. So,
And I didn't mean to cut you off on something, but I wanted to say this. There are people, and I'll say it's mutual, but there are people in this organization. I'm being for real. Dead serious. Stand on business. In this organization that said, I think we would have won this if it was a different outcome when it came to Kevin Durant. I'm just saying. Whether people want to believe this shit or not. People didn't believe this shit when we was talking about it before the, 2025 year was up, New Year's Eve. We was talking about it before then, almost darn, look, the infatuation with KD, this dates back to when he was having his free agent meetings. Yes, he ultimately chose the Warriors. But it's not only because of Pop, but it's because of the franchise. And why he calls Austin his second home, we'll talk about that too. But with that respect, he gave them that opportunity. Like, hey, let's have a conversation. I want to be able to bless them with this opportunity to be able to we can have, fellowship with one another. We can talk to one another, get to know, whatever the case, the vision, let's implement it. So now moving forward, yes, people can have a list if they want to. Hey, Monk, shit. What movie you want to go see? Look, man, honestly, I'll choose between these 3 movies. I want to watch How High, Cheech and Chong, but my main preference is I want to watch Half Baked. So if you can find Half Baked to stream, I want to watch that. Nap's like, yep, agree. You know what? I think my preference is, the same. I'm agreeing with him. Again, y'all speaking at San Antonio in KD's camp. And look, you can have a list all day. But if I didn't bring you Half Baked, you'd be like, damn, you didn't have Half Baked? All right, that's cool. All right, I guess we'll watch this. And this Phoenix Suns spited because of the way it was going out, because he was so vocal. They said, we're not sending you to where you want to go. We'll send you here. He wanted to base, for the whole boardroom thing, they want to have they want to be based out of Austin. Like Austin. And again, if you look at this, yes, San Antonio speaking, it would be so much easier of a drive to live closer to that hill country area or even Austin area and then get to games. But in Houston, it's a different story. Like I said, he wanted to be. I'm just saying. So the frustration you saw with him, look, he didn't want to come. He wanted to play for the. He wanted to play with the next face of the league, with the same person that know that, man, this is. If I'm his favorite player, and he wants to kind of model his game after me, why not kind of teach him that? I'm just saying, if you ask me, if we had KD on this team instead, I think it would have been a different story. De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, they all thought it was going to be KD here too. I'll be real. This team, and he's not a max, but he's on 2 years left to where you know this is his way to go out. Like, you get the best opportunity. And I feel that, and I'm not no Houston, I'm not. But I feel like they're ready to move on from people, for example, Fred VanVleet or whatever the case, because KD ain't going to get him. You know, I mean, look, I think if anything for Boston, I think they have a better chance of landing Kawhi for Jaylen Brown than anything else. Hell, maybe even John Collins or whatever the case, and whatever they can do too. Try to get the way the Heat got. But I'm glad this is the last subject to talk about. Because, again, he wanted to be here. You can see why he wanted to be here. Because he didn't have to be counted on for those heavy minutes. He didn't have to be counted on to be a first option. He didn't have to, hell, he didn't even have to be counted on to be a second option. He can sit out here. And these young guns would make his life so much easier. You gonna double Wemby and then leave KD open? Like, that, oof. That is the pairing that Wemby's looking for. And some people, like again, Spurs fans, whatever the case, have their different opinions, whatever. But I can tell you for a fact, they respect what Wemby has to say. And he is very vocal on his, his vision. And KD knows. I think all parties know that this can easily be done. I don't want to mention this, so I won't. Nice. We'll so look. Could somebody go home? Maybe. But they're not at that point. Could you renounce Harrison Barnes, everyone else? Obviously, bring them back on a way smaller deal. Yes, absolutely. But once you renounce these free agents, everyone, even except Lindy Waters, for clutch purposes. If you renounce everyone but Lindy Waters, and I'm not saying this happens. I'm just saying how the money works, how easy the money works. And it's crazy. I dare you people, whoever watching, to go try this yourself. But I promise you, I was like, when I saw the numbers, like, that's not right. No way. Oh, shit. It sure is. Okay. All right, bet. So, if you renounce all these players, with the exception of Lindy Waters, they can trade Luke Cornett, who's $11 million, and still be able to acquire Kevin Garnett. That is crazy.
You mean
You said Garnett.
Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett. What the fuck am I thinking?
Kevin
This ain't
Garnett
1997. Yo, Kevin Durant. Like, they can get, and again, I'm not saying it happens like that, but the money would work once you renounce these free agents. The money would work.
Players play better when they're in situations they want to be in. That's simple.
And Spurs understand. Listen to me, people. Everybody. And if you're watching, Spurs understand that these draft picks aren't enough. They fill gaps. But they do know at this moment, man, I don't even want to say it right now. I should say it for episode 2. I should say it for episode 2. I shouldn't say it now. But I'm afraid that eventually, because, look, 7 days from now, well, no, I'm lying. I think we're going to drop them like 3 times a week. But 24 hours is eternity. Any narrative, listen to what I'm saying, any narrative can be put to the forefront any given moment of the 24 hours. So I have to calculate this properly. Again, the Rockets have made folks available privately. They haven't yet made them available that way. And when I say privately, look, maybe certain players are getting asked if they'd want to play somewhere. I know it's crazy. No, we're not going to trade with San Antonio. And that, who knows, whatever occurs, right? But in these final 2 years, for what the Rockets need now, or what the Spurs need now, take it how you want. They may make a deal with one another, aka they will both be making deals with the devil, as people like to say. I'm not going to get into that too much, but I just want you to know there is a way to acquire Kevin Durant. There's a way to acquire Kevin Durant.
I'm about to say the only way you can acquire Kevin Garnett is in 2K.
Kevin Durant. They're gonna fry me for that one in the chat. And I don't mean this chat. Kevin Durant. Okay. He calls Austin home. Loves it. His home away from home, but his home where he wants to base a lot of things out. That's not a bad option, compared to DC, Maryland, whatever. It's this DMV, this Austin. Okay. And then we haven't crossed that bridge yet. We have not crossed that bridge. But if they are going to be making a deal with the devil, it's only because there's a mutual understanding that, hey, we got him paid. We got him this deal. We know it's not it's not home necessarily. I mean, we know he's going home. We're just sending 2 people home, even though KD wouldn't really call San Antonio home. It'd be more so Austin. But they be making a deal with the devil, a.k.a. each other, to send a certain player of their need to the Houston Rockets for KD. I think, okay. Keep saying I think, and I need to stop, and I should just say it. Spurs understand already. Right now, people are thinking, yes, the Spurs, the second that buzzer hit 0, and the Knicks were holding the chip, they already reached an eventual crossroads. And I feel they need to look on the bright side of, hey, Again, we got your player paid, even though it's not necessarily where y'all hope to, but hey, it's still home for you. But hey, Keldon gets paid more than 20 mil. Maybe he gets 22. Maybe he gets 20. Who knows? But hey, he'll get money. There's a gift and a curse. But they're already at a crossroads. They already know it. That they know they're going to try to slow walk this as much as possible. But the inevitable is clear. People are talking about, yes, he might not outlast his contract, and that is rightfully so. But if nothing gets done this offseason, then best believe that these two teams, I'm telling you right now, the goal or the plan is if these two teams do not have a conversation or it does not lead to any more multiple conversations to get KD here, then I can promise you they're going to have this conversation revisited at the trade deadline, where now the Spurs will be more inclined. Half of the trade deadline. That's how much time the young gun, the young cub has to prove that he can be the starting point guard for this team. Half a season. The trade deadline. If nothing, listen to me. Standing on business with this one. Listen to me. If nothing between these two teams come to fruition now during the offseason, this will be revisited at the trade deadline. Because that's when the Spurs will be ready to turn the reins over. And again, I know this is a different scenario when AD, Antonio Daniels, had to turn over the reins to a young Tony Parker who was a 19-year-old kid. I don't remember. I still believe he was in his 20s. But see, this is a different scenario. They're both in their 20s. One's a young 20. And I mean, Antonio Daniels. He played for the Spurs or the Grizzlies. The Spurs.
No, I know Antonio because he did a lot of analysis too.
So, okay.
Damn, I haven't heard that name in a long time too.
So he didn't want to accept it. Eventually, he was traded, but he handed the reins over. Again, this young cub has. I'll even say the older lion, the older cub, has until this deadline to show his worth. Because if this KD conversation is not fully evolved into fruition in the offseason, it's going to happen at the trade deadline. Because that's when they'll be ready to turn the reins over to the young cub. The money's there. Look, the match made in heaven is there. The need is there. I can tell you right now. This is what I can speak for sure. The Houston Rockets would much rather prefer to have the Fox than Fred. And again, this would be one of the rare times they do a deal with, again, a.k.a. the devil, which for them is the Spurs. But, again, the writing's on the wall as far as if this story needs to be completed about sending you home and you got paid. Unless he's vocal about it now, which he had, listen, from his camp, he has not yet. But by the trade deadline, he will be vocal about it. He will. And what's going to be why they're going to have, I'm not going to say settle, but why they're going to have to deal with another Texas rival is because of the fact that he wants to play here. And hey, it's his final 2 years. Let's at least go and get what we need here. And man, look, they're in good hands. That's all states, man. Right? I'll say they're in good hands.
Are you in good
Look,
hands?
Swipe. Look, it was supposed to be KD, Wemby, and Swipe. It was almost. He was assured he was coming to San Antonio. And when I say people were pissed, people were pissed. Look, man, it's gonna be a crazy offseason full of rumors, innuendos, and narratives. But I can tell you for certain. The feeling is mutual of KD and Wemby running with one another. The feeling is mutual. Not only from Wemby's side, but from the Spurs organization itself. And I hate to say this because this was the news we break, and that might to bring him here to San Antonio. And that just might be the full circle where we break that he's moving on from San Antonio. But, and here's why. Even if they're both playing subpar, they would more than likely both still do the deal. Because again, if the young cub is ready to roll, then the young cub is going to get his start. And
there you go.
And Swipe will be at an age where he still feels like, yo, I remember that. Look at this. Really see that? Look. Shout out Spurs, man. Last time Houston traded with Bernie Maxwell was involved. Pop was the GM. A long time, man. It's a long time.
Yeah, that
It's a very
profile
long time.
picture is funny. That profile picture
Yeah,
is
let's see.
funny.
Like,
That's Wemby going freaky.
yo, but now they both have a mutual benefit to call one another. Because again, let's just say both are not feeling the vibe. Both can both say, look, man, I want to go home. The other one said, look, man, I just want to go to San Antonio. Might as well make the call, and it could easily be a 1-for-1. With the exception, I'm not talking picks. We're just talking the play. It can easily just be the 1-for-1. Again, I'm not. Look, they got a lot of things. They got to. Clint Capella's another one, and that's another one because that's $14 million over 2 more years, $7 million he's got left per year. You know what I mean? So they got
It
some
makes
decisions
sense.
to make.
They can salary dump Clint, and they can also attach him to KD.
We talked about it. Nat, and we even posted about it too. About look, people are saying Kyle Kuzma was like, no. If Giannis is moved somewhere, it's gonna be with Portis because the money makes sense. The money is a lot lower than what Kuzma is. It is at the end of the day.
And
Even if it was Boston, he still would have been Portis.
And like you said, what'd you say, Mark?
Since we're talking about point guards, Sham said on live, LaMelo Ball is getting shopped as we speak. He is on the block. And you said Houston. Houston is a name that got thrown around.
See? I don't know if it'll be for
Minnesota, maybe Clippers.
Well, they got Darius Garland.
Garland goes to somewhere else.
Dang, already got shot. Look, man. I think in this, again, the odd man out for Houston at the moment is Fred. How do you run Fred in this? The odd man out. That's who it is. But
Yeah,
I remember when the Spurs. I remember when the Spurs were at for a while when they were looking for the point guard. They actually reached out to the Charlotte Hornets for LaMelo Ball. That was crazy. Go ahead, man.
Here's something that is kind of interesting, right? This is crazy, but like LaMelo Ball it. Oh no. I actually wanted to like. First of all, let's talk about the how we both when we were talking about this behind the scenes, obviously with the whole thing with Giannis and the Bobby Portis thing, and you were telling me is like, you asked me if the Heat have a trade exception. Are they willing to do that?
Yeah.
And the one thing that came up is like we both agreed. Both of our teams are cheap, and if they can get a guy in that trade exception, they're gonna do it.
They
So
did
when
it.
they were saying Kyle Kuzma, it, it I was like, there's no way Miami's doing that because the same thing I was thinking of, San Antonio wouldn't have done that. They would literally absorb Bobby Portis into that trade exception, and then they would swing for the big move. That's exactly what Miami did, and that's like, and it's funny we go back and forth with but our teams are literally identical half the time, so it's like so that's something that I want to bring up. I also I think an underrated shooter that is probably gonna. I mean, I like Luke Kennard. Okay, I like Luke Kennard. If the Spurs need a little bit more shooting, that's a guy I would like to see go to a team like the Spurs because he's a Marco Bellinelli where he can literally you put him. Except I think he's better than him because he can actually like pass and
Yeah.
everything, but he'll make a lot of like tougher shots and actually like take some breathing room off Julian some nights too. But that was just like a sneaky little pickup. I thought that like I want him personally for my team, but like I was like for the Spurs, I think because you guys had the defense. The only thing you're missing was basically the shooting. And he could be like your Larry, your Shannon, just coming in for a couple minutes, popping in two or three threes, then popping out like that. That's what I was like saying when it came to the Spurs. So that's like an underrated pickup that I was doing that for obviously for a little bit lower cost, but that's who I think if the Spurs want more shooting, that's doesn't ever hurt. So
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out. Look,
yeah,
we still got free agency, trade deadline opener. Look, yeah, of course. I mean, LaMelo's been wanting to be gone for a minute. I don't. You
It's
could do you could do a very simple one, and um I think maybe Morant for LaMelo, a straight up swap like that. I think could work. I think you got to see what Minnesota, but I think those you got to look at the teams in desperation. I mean, the Raptors they could say, but it's like I don't unless I don't know. Um,
I think it's funny. I think you was here. I know Nap was here when they drafted Christian Anderson. Nap, what did I say?
yeah. His time, his time.
They don't trust LaMelo, and I think he's about to go as soon as they drafted Christian Anderson.
it's gonna happen. And again, so the exact quote was maybe his former team. So for Bobby Marks in regards to Kawhi, I can tell you, if anything, for saving face, obviously he does not want to leave LA. But the next best bet to get you what your money's worth is you got to send him to Boston. Simple as that.
You gotta send him to where?
Boston.
Oh, okay.
Kawhi.
But
We haven't even spoke. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but it was reported that he has an idea of where he wants to go. If it's not LA,
I just don't see. Um, I would have mentioned Kawhi, and I do know his mom's. I mean, but I think I think he still wants to be the man a little bit with somebody else. I still think he wants to be the, and I just don't know how you run because I'm just telling you right now, like unless it's a 3-team, there's no Spurs are not going to give up Fox for Kawhi.
I mean,
You'll be logjam. Look, man, you got what? Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, uh, Devin Vassell, the small forward. Then you got to run Kawhi the power forward, and he really preferred to play the 3 ball.
you know,
So
it's crazy because like seeing LaMelo Ball like finally like out. I mean, well, we knew behind the scenes they were trying to do it, but like seeing him finally like out there, it's funny because years ago he was like a spur target, and now it's like it's a distant past now. It's pretty funny how like things are just like progressing.
I think the Spurs. I think you let the young bucks run in the guard section. I think you picked them high, and one of them's about to get paid, so you need to see what you got.
yeah, that's real. Um, so that's why I didn't mention anything about Kawhi. It sounds great, but it sounds great, but it's not what they're looking at. That dude, look, hold on, I'm messaging somebody from a nice little agency right now, a certain sports group while we're live on Buzzer. And by the way, this is Talking Spurs, presented by Buzzer. Shout out, of course, the Power by Sports Jedi Network. Shout out DWE Television, man, the whole nine. Again, um, 50 mil, bro. That is and 34 years of age. Again, if this is something, they would much rather go after KD. So, yeah. Anywho, yeah, man, it's gonna be a great off season. There's still a lot more rumors to take effect. Um, I don't want to talk about this,
Hmm.
and a lot of people are gonna hate us for this. But we still haven't spoken about the other clutch player that Rich Paul has uh vouched for or lobbed subtly to the Spurs in Aaron Gordon. Uh,
Which would be a great fit.
so obviously injuries are a concern, especially if OG wants to talk injuries. Then he has to also look at an injury concern Aaron Gordon as well. Um,
Speaking of AG, if you can have him, yes, playing wise, but mentoring the two young guns that you just drafted fits so well. You telling me AG training and playing along with Jaden and Reed?
Yeah.
That's serious.
And shout out to all 1,700 y'all rocked in, man. We still moving. And oof, man, look. I'm gonna just say it again. Yes, the Spurs are looking that way, because they know that if Kawhi is gonna be on the move, then they can go after John Collins. If again, Bomber, there's gonna be some reason. Look, if he wants his money, I think this is a stand-up. I think he's gonna get his money, which still does leave a chance for John Collins to be the guy on their way out or on the outs. Or they like, you know what, we're gonna pick him up too. Like either or. I think everything right now is counting on Bomber wanting to make sure that Kawhi stays in LA. They both want it to happen. They both want it to happen. Um. So I didn't. It was about as relevant as supposedly Isaiah Stewart having major interest from the Spurs.
Oh man, yo, this is exciting, bro. This is what it's about. Like, the excitement of trades. Like,
Look, again, if you want to make it easy, and I don't mean to say it like this, because again, we were on it, on our show, having the conversation that I had that was not supposed to be aired, but nevertheless, to be able to know, look, man, I hope it doesn't come full circle. Do I hope it does? No. Do I see the writing on the wall? Look, the writing's not necessarily there, but look, the wall, they just unveiled the wall. They've unveiled the paint and the color. They just haven't put any writing on it yet. Any art on it yet. Look, they did right by Fox. They did right by giving him his money. They did right by him. I can say that. If a KD trade were to be as easy as possible for a need purpose, then you're going to send De'Aaron Fox. And again, I'm just throwing the logical guess. I haven't, but I'm just thinking maybe you're going to send a De'Aaron Fox and you're going to send a. I'm just saying, maybe. I'm just saying, not. But if you're sending somebody else out because you got to, whatever the case, I don't know. But if you're gonna, maybe it's a two, maybe it's a 1 for 2, maybe it's maybe it's De'Aaron Fox for KD and Capella, maybe the salary dump for Capella. Again, if something like that were to happen, if they want to make it as easy as possible. But let's go on and throw that monkey wrench in here, man. Let's throw that wrench in here. Shout out to Dog RP. Shout out to homie. He's gonna want to find a way to be like, how about we do it this way then? If you want to bring KD in, why don't we do a 3-team if they're looking for a guard? They might find a way to do it. Hold on, sorry. The Spurs, again, listen, please. Fox and Wemby expected KD. And if you don't believe me, I just want you to look at something as a preference. You get De'Aaron Fox, right? And You see it's Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. Before the season even starts, we're just talking about, whatever. And you're KD. And you have a list. And you're looking at the list. Are you truly telling me you're happy going to run with Şengün and Van Vliet and not Fox and Wemby? I'm just saying there's a reason why they were his top preference. There's a reason why he was pissed. Isn't it not a big drop off? Is that not a big drop off? Again, this is before Finals Fox, before people want to judge. From a big drop off from you acquire Fox and Wemby, and Katie's hoping to land here, but he goes with Fred Van Vliet and Şengün and
And
Jabari Smith and
basically like no, like
where he had
I'm
to more than likely be the number one guy again.
you know what's crazy is that you would think, right? The Rockets, they didn't really go after guys that were like heavy shooters. Like it was just let's just go straight defense and then let's pray and hope Amon decides to become an
Yeah,
elite 3-point shooter. That did not happen.
it did not.
Şengün,
Yeah.
not a 3-point shooter either. Jabari Parker, he lost his 3-point shot. I didn't know what some nights I didn't know what was going on with the kid, which I feel bad for because he, he's a good kid, but at the end of the day, like this is a business. If you can't do your job, you're gonna get passed. And the fact that he has that massive contract and he's not producing, like that was insane. It was absolutely insane.
So be sure again, man. Talking Spurs. You know what I'm saying? Follow, presented by Buzzer. Official Buzzer, man. Follow, look, at Famous Davis. Download the Buzzer app. Follow them on X. Look, BZZR Official. Follow them on X, man. All their platforms. Matter of fact, be sure to download the app on the App Store if you got your little Apple iPhones, or of course the Google Play Store if you got your Androids, your Samsungs, and your Googles, dog. But look,
Yeah.
at Famous Davis, I haven't posted it. I got to figure out. I got to talk with the Buzzer crew to see exactly how I can go live on there at the same time. I got to figure that out. But look, guys. I mean, shout
Excellent
out to
Spurs
Benjamin.
second round pick.
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to them second round picks. Ooh, dang, I didn't even talk about that. But look, Rui, I know a lot of people are like, bring us Rui Hachimura, bring.
Too expensive.
And it's not even that. It's just like, look, man, why? Just go get just
go get KD. Cheaper.
You just never know what can happen. And again, publicly, they haven't been made available. Doesn't mean they're not looking at.
What do you think about KL back in SA?
It's not even about bad blood. It's just, look. I just don't see. I mean, I guess, but I just think there's at 50 million, every million counts, every dollar counts, and I think at this sense, if you're gonna run somebody like that, you just might as well go run KD, and that's it. You just, again, with that money, if available, now you go and get Collins. That's it. If Kawhi is a goner, then you go out there and you sign Collins. And at this stage, I would not be surprised that Collins would take it at the mid-level exception. But that is the bigger move. This team without Kawhi got you to the finals. I think he needs the ball in his hands a lot more than KD does. KD, look, if he's got to show up sometimes and throw clutch moments, crunch time moments, oh yeah, by all means. But he knows in this team, he does not have to be the first option, and he might not even be the first or second option as far as or even in scoring, whatever the case may be. But that's how you create longevity in this league. Um, so I think 50 million is crazy. I mean, look, there again, the writing's not on the wall just yet. But the easiest, seamless trade is simple. I hate that I gotta call this son of a gun, this son of a bitch up, but I know that we need a guard. I know they want to stretch for. Let's just go on and make the call. The writing's on the wall. He gets his preferred choice after all, and a certain swiper gets to go home.
Everybody gets a happy ending. Everybody gets the happy ending.
NBA, I don't think it would be any young talent. If anything, Fox alone makes the money work. Maybe a second, and that's a big if.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, eventually, look, and again, I'm not naive. At the moment, remember, guys, listen to what I'm saying. A narrative before we kind of give the segue because we are overtime. We're kind of expected to close that out. And if y'all were going to do anything to talk whatever else, by all means, we're going to restart the show. Not the same link, but restart it again. But nevertheless, so I'm not naive, but we have to talk from a narrative perspective, right? Like, if we know that we're looking to replace, and again, I apologize for picking on you right now, but if we're looking to replace Monk as an executive, but we need to, you know, we gotta, damn, I don't want to say this without kind of getting to, okay, you gotta, look, I brought you here. I brought you here. You know what I mean? Like the news was here. Hey, we're gonna get him here. Great, we're gonna hire him. It's gonna be crazy that I gotta be the guy that is like, you know what, man? I'm sorry, man, but we had to bring somebody else in. You know what I mean? And let you go at this point. It sounds crazy. I know the comparison sounds crazy, but it's simple as that. Look, um, the writing's about to be on the wall. We understand. But the good news is, hey, we're bringing somebody here, but we're gonna want to send you to back home to Houston. Hey, it might work out for you in the end after all. Um, doesn't make sense. Trust me, guys. Y'all have no idea, but I've been walking the clouds. So KD for De'Aaron Fox. It is what it is. Both teams get what they were looking for. KD gets his preferred destination after all, and at least gets to play these 2 years to see where it goes. 2 years. And the Spurs would much rather have 2 years of KD under 50 mil than now have to look at Kawhi to leave next year or whatever the case, or have to pay this. They're not going to want to go through that again. They understand. And if somebody can teach these young guns, unless there's a 3-team trade and the Spurs are just able to do a dump for crackers again, like Monk said earlier, if they're able to just give up crackers for KD because still Houston got what they wanted and Rich Paul got what he wanted to make sure De'Aaron Fox still stayed here, then they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to get this 3-team trade started. And this is why I say this, and this is why I want to end it this way. There is a way that you still acquire KD without having to trade away De'Aaron Fox. Yes, people. And if you missed it earlier, I gave a little bit of a hint. Or I said a little bit of it. But there is a way via 3-team trade without having to renounce so many free agents, that you can still bring in KD without giving up De'Aaron Fox. And if the Spurs plan on operating at this, again, they're going to need to. Now, we're in a new era where teams are starting to pay for their team. They're starting five. They got the Knicks. Look, Miami's trying to start that too. The Spurs understand the business. They're not naive to it. And sometimes the business changes. We got draft picks for a reason. In the 20s and second round, we got these for a reason, 20 and 26 respectively. And then the second rounders are probably going to be G leaguers. You know what I'm saying? Maybe get two-way contracts, whatever the case may be. But they're going to be out there doing that. But there is a way to get KD to San Antonio without having to give up De'Aaron Fox. And that's if you allow Rich Paul into your hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Just like you did for the De'Aaron Fox trade. When you had the Bulls give up Zach LaVine, and all they had to give up was Trey Jones and Zach Collins in the process. That was insane. But nevertheless, as always, it's the first time we're doing this. Has been Talking Spurs. I'm your boy, Famous Davis, officially presented by Buzzer. Shout out Buzzer again. Be sure to follow Buzzer on X at BZZR Official. Download the app again on the on the App Store or Google Play Store. Download it. And then after you download it and you create your profile, follow your boy, Famous Davis. And I'm going to start dropping a lot of things over there, some videos. But when I know how to go live on that, on Buzzer, best believe we streaming live on Buzzer. So, again, this is episode 1 of Talking Spurs. We did go 6 minutes overtime, but nevertheless, this has been powered by Sports Jedi Network. Shout out DWE Television. Look, that's Monk. Monkey DeBrasi. MONKEY DBRASI on X. That's NapGod. Napster P. NapGod 7 on X. NAPGOD 7 on X. I'm Famous Davis. Look, K-Dot Views on X, man. Look, I might respond to you on X. I might not. We might give a trolling response. We might just no. They did before they got De'Aaron Fox. They did have some phone calls before they got De'Aaron Fox. But no. LaMelo Ball is going somewhere else, not San Antonio. Yo, what it do, BGB? Look, man.
Yeah, he's woo! I can't do that. I would probably look like a moron now. But
look,
yeah.
Clips,
he's that.
Clips, again, he doesn't want to leave LA. That's a good lie. That's how you want to end your career for himself. Could I mean, look, it varies, but crazier shit has happened, man. Oh, this guy here. Oh, I'm not even saying Kawhi goes to the Spurs, so don't even say that for sure, because I'm not even on board with that. I just say if Kawhi is traded somewhere, that's when you go after John Collins. The plan. But look, I don't think they want to lose Kawhi. But if you're gonna hit them while they're down, you're gonna kick them while they're down. You just go look, man. You go silent. You just look, man. Hey, we apologize that you lost Kawhi, but we're just gonna go and take John Collins, man, away from all of this. Mid-level exception might do it. I don't think. Look, but I think Kawhi is coming back to LA. There's no reason not to. You're getting your money there, man. There's no reason not to. Get your money, man. Anyway, it's going to be interesting indeed because, look, the Spurs are definitely monitoring that situation, but it's not for Kawhi Leonard, I'll tell you that. But they are monitoring the situation. They are. What's up, man? Yeah. Yeah, Jizzle, look, man. And again, man, I know y'all heard that. As long as I like to say, man, as long as you got Rich Paul on your side and not against you, and I mean as far as relationships are concerned, and he does want to keep his clients in certain areas and environments and cities, he's going to try to do everything that he can in his power. Hey, look, trust me, look, we can still get KD here if we do it this way. Listen, a lot of people don't think, people just think, oh man, he's got clutch clients. He's not that. Him and Brian Wright have a lot. They have frequent conversations. They have frequent conversations. Brian Wright and CEO of Clutch Sports Group, Rich Paul, have conversations. Recommendations. And anyway, yes, it's true. So there is a way. There is a way to acquire KD while still having the Rockets get what they need. But you get Rich Paul on this. Look, Rich Paul got a clutch client to Sacramento, right? Sacramento did, however they gassed it up and kept them on the hype train for it, they hyped it up. They got him there to Sacramento. He can easily get a clutch player of this caliber. And I know people don't want to hear this and it's going to sound funny as shit. But somebody like Miles Bridges and whoever else would show up, if LaMelo's, things like that, on a 3-team trade, I'm just saying if LaMelo's gone out the door for Charlotte, then Rich Paul says, hey, if y'all need him, then why don't y'all get Miles Bridges from Charlotte? We can, and again, there are ways to acquire KD without giving up De'Aaron Fox. And again, the original plan was, and they always expected or thought that it was going to be KD, De'Aaron Fox, and Wemby. And again, it can happen now without gutting the roster of even Devin Vassell or none of that stuff. I'm not even putting him on the table. There are ways to get this 3-team trade done. I promise you. And it's not just, you got to remember, man, there's 2 different agencies involved that are major agencies, major brands in this game. And they definitely know how to dictate the movement. Again, they expected San Antonio. Phoenix went ahead and did them dirty, but we're not going to get into that again. It'll make it so much easier for them to be able to do what he needs to do in Austin in regards to his ventures that he has with Boardroom and where he can base out his multimedia, company, things like a lot of things without getting too much into detail. And it's a lot easier to commute from Austin to San Antonio at these games. You know what I mean? It's a lot easier to commute that way. It was all of that came into consideration. Hey, fellas, look. I'm not sure if y'all are, once I end this stream, if y'all are running a talking heat kind of thing. But if y'all are, y'all talk amongst yourselves and put it in the private chat for yourselves so I can be able to set the layup out for y'all and everything else. If y'all are, y'all put in the private chat. And if not, then guess what? Talking heat, if y'all got an hour and a half tomorrow, we'll set aside no more than 2 hours. Maybe might go overtime again, but for some talking heat. So these 2 guys can get their floats rolling. And then, of course, look, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. So the corporate side, we're not getting too technical about it. Okay, so the corporate side where I'm at, I'm going to be able to have an adjustment. So look, beginning Friday, July 3rd, we are going to have, and we're not going to do marathon streams like that, but what we are going to do is every day, starting Friday, July 3rd, we're going to do a Talking Spurs edition. 4th of July has been notorious for trades, free agent signings, crazy announcements. So we're going to be here that entire weekend. Also, if there's an S in the day of the week, we haven't Talking Spurs. So look, I know Wednesday doesn't have one, but we'll definitely move that from Wednesdays over to Saturdays and Sundays. We may do Fridays, but for sure, we are definitely doing Saturdays and Sundays officially on Buzzer. And once I figure out how to live stream on Buzzer, we live streaming on Buzzer too, y'all. But look, we're not going to get into that right now. again, all it takes is a 3-team trade. Listen to me, people. Shout out. Shout out Boardroom. Shout out Clutch. But as long as you have Rich Paul on your side as an organization and a general manager, you will always come out in the most favorable of trade acquisitions, especially if it's a major one. Hear me out. Damn it, I'm going to probably extend this 15 more minutes. Okay, fuck it. I'm saying it. I ain't even got my second drink yet. I shouldn't be cussing. My apologies. It's PG. I'm going to just say it. Okay? There's a way, possibly, I'm standing on business, from camps, from a certain camp. They want De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio. With whatever moves can potentially be made, they still want him to be a part of this. Both the organization and De'Aaron Fox and his representation. The representation and the organization both agree. The organization's top brass and the agent's top brass always have conversations. Here we go. Let's get it. Anyway, so you want to know how a 3-team trade can really be constructed? And I'm going to just cook the crack now before we end the stream. So AD does not want to be in Washington. So guess what? You want to savor the flavor? You're going to get rid of KD and send him where you don't really want to send him, but you'll send AD to Houston for doing what you need to do, and you allow my client to stay right here in San Antonio where he wants to be for now. And then you got yourself AD. We promise he'll be healthy. You can be able to run with him, whatever else. And then whatever Houston decides to send out to, and the San Antonio Spurs decide to send out to Washington, there you go. There. I didn't even post it. But if you want real deals, real spiel, a certain camp wants De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio. Because you got to understand, he's thinking 2-3 years ahead, and he understands that, look, this is where we got right now, and we struggled, but look, we still took it to a game 5, whatever. Look at all that, right? Positives. We need to build on this versus take away one of the veteran presence. So, yes, people, Spurs fans, talking Spurs, you can get KD to San Antonio without shipping out De'Aaron Fox, because Rich Paul would have the conversation with Houston and let them know we wouldn't get AD here because AD wants to be out of Washington.
There you go. Also, yeah, that's about it. My friend, we've been through a lot, my friend.
We'll give some bonus ones. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Heat, maybe he can fit in there. Maybe the Heat might be good.
So from what I heard, is he's heavily interested in going back to Florida. So, but he's gonna have heavy offers, and
Yeah,
I know Miami wants him at the vet minimum. They are slightly willing to pay him a little bit more, but they would prefer if he would take the vet minimum because that's where they want him at.
So look, I'm just saying, you're right about that. Florida team. Oh, go ahead. That was earlier too.
3, 2. Oh. Bro,
Yeah,
what's funny? On my screen, it looked like it's over here, but because of the camera, it's over there.
So look, man, it's gonna get. Look, the off season, we already know. Listen, people. Narratives. Understand. Heat fans. I think again, shout out Cornell. But I sat there and said, damn, Pat Riley and the organization, they proved us and a lot of us wrong here. I'm gonna give you your narratives. Think of us like, for those who watch wrestling. For those who watch wrestling, or follow wrestling media sites on X or wherever, and you're talking spoilers or potential, information, things like that. Like just like a simple, how they do. You know how they do. Hey man, we got this intel. We got this. Look, we're just giving you narratives and spoilers. But you're never hearing anything else above that. The only time I ever said that any kind of trade was going down in real time was the De'Aaron Fox, and it's still in my highlights. The only time I ever said in real time that it was going down was De'Aaron Fox. And again, I'm not going to get into it now of why I went real full marathon mode on that. But man, a lot of people didn't know. We'll get it. We're not going to get into it on Talking Spurs because again, this is we got another channel for that on NBA, and we might talk about that. And who knows, we might bring that to Buzz. You just never know. We might bring NBA late night, but you just never know what might be the deal. All I can say is we do got other talks and conversations that we will have. But when it comes to the Spurs, it's going to be very interesting because yes, De'Aaron Fox is going to be in a lot of the rumors, but again, they all want to be here. Everyone wants each other here. RP would love to help. Once again, listen to my words, and this is how we'll end the show. RP will once again assist with the construction of a trade. 3-team. If we know that KD wants to come to San Antonio, but we know that he does not want De'Aaron Fox to be moved. Hell, even KD might say the same thing, which therefore leads again. Rumors, narratives, and everything. Because you still haven't not gotten to Anthony Davis yet. Sign and trade, maybe, who knows? But I'm telling you people right now, Spurs fans who are listening, or NBA fans or whatever, just curious that love the game, that love the stories and behind the narratives. Hey, because we did not give up De'Aaron Fox, how about you replace KD with AD? We can bring him to Houston for you. Everybody's happy. Washington gets to kind of save on another extension. They get whatever San Antonio and Houston offer, including, picks. That's where the picks will go probably for AD. And once again, RP would help construct a trade that works for all parties involved. Where I'm not saying it happens, but maybe Jabari Smith gets shipped out to Washington for AD, but they get AD in the process instead. So on that note, no, look, I'm gonna say it one more time. If these conversations do not lead to anything in the off season, expect the trade deadline. This is where, again, this is the only time that I'll ever say that if we're still seeing Swiper NBA Finals guy, then yes, the writing's on the absolute wall. You're going to just do it straight up. We understand it's just a business. You got to let the young gun be ready to take over. That's exactly what RP would say. My guy has not played up to his value. But if he has, which the script would show he will, and they still want KD here, going to go through AD going to Houston. He'll go everywhere except San Antonio, but involving AD maybe going to Houston. And then, again, 3-team trade that he pulls off, and you just have to give up bits and pieces and kept everything else intact, including Devin Vassell. And on that note, this has been Talking Spurs, presented by Buzzer. If you didn't catch the rest of this earlier, please catch it. If not, look, next episode you're going to catch Friday night. Friday night. Talking Spurs episode.
We're
going to be back.
Right.
Peace. We up out of here, man.